What's up? My name is Corey, and I am almost a five-figure clothing brand owner. I am 26 years old from Prince George's County, Maryland. I'm also a poet, an entrepreneur in the DMV area. My poet name is Ink, but you could call me Corey, you could call me Ink. And I want to document how far I've made it in building my clothing brand. I think it's been about 8 months since I did like the first launch, but really it's been about a year since I've been, developing the ideas for it. And I'm about to hit $10,000 in gross sales, which is a very big milestone. I am only going to be at this place, in my life and in my clothing brand one time. And I'm about to cross the 10K mark within the next 30 days probably. So I'm going to just go through each month, talk about the progress that I made, my methodology, like strategies and stuff. And yeah, if hopefully it could inspire people who are trying to do a similar thing, or you could just get, a look into what it takes to get to where I'm at, because it's not easy. I feel like what I put on social media makes it seem like this is like the most fun thing in the world. Like, no, I have my days of self-doubt, but I do, keep creating, keep coming up with new ideas, putting them out there, and it has definitely been coming back to me in a lot of great ways. And I know coming up very soon, I'm about to just take off. And like, I like to call myself a delusional millionaire. I already feel like I'm there, or I know that I will be there soon, like very soon. So I just gotta, keep being consistent and trying out new strategies. So in this video, I'm gonna also be putting numbers, which means I need glasses. But just a little bit about me. So like I said, I am 26 years old. This is like my third clothing brand, probably third or fourth. I started out making designs in like college, which had been about 5 years ago now, when I graduated at least. And yeah, I would just like put some designs on t-shirts. Like, I always thought that idea was cool, to just be, cooking up something and, people wearing, the design that you came up with, and, spreading that motivational message. My first brand, I don't have a shirt for my first brand, but it was called Aesthetical. After I graduated college, there was another brand that I entitled Workout Black, and the letters were BLAK, and those were like the initials to my name. I was really into fitness, and that was the motivation behind that. And that, I was never profitable. I've never been profitable, actually. This is why I refuse to give any sort of like business advice. Like, I could teach you how to be delusional and crazy and follow your dreams and shit, but I cannot teach you how to, at the moment, handle your finances properly to have a business that is making money, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I had Workout Black. It was during COVID, so it was like an online launch and stuff. And I, at the time, could not figure out the marketing thing. Maybe like a year or so after that, I had came up with another design that I would entitle the Corey Latte brand. That was like my poetry name at the time. And Corey Latte is like my actual, government name, my first and my middle name. And I had like my like signature that I used to put on hats and shirts. Here I have one of those items here. That was that, and I had that on shirts and hats. And so I say all that to say this, everybody wonders why my clothing brand is doing well now, and it's because it's not my first time trying it out. I've tried, I've failed, I've quit, I have stopped before, and this time is the one that I took serious, and that is starting to make a lot more sense. So back in October of 2024, I had just did the 75 hard challenge. I had finished it in maybe like September, and during that, I also said that I could not purchase any clothing because I love retail therapy, I love shopping. When I'm sad, a nigga goes to the mall and has a ball. I don't know, I like adding stuff to my appearance or to my apartment, and I like the aesthetic of it, I suppose you could say. So after I finished the challenge, I didn't buy anything for 75 days, and I kept having this vision of this like rose-colored jersey that I knew I wanted to buy like once I got off, the 75 hard. But I started looking it up and I couldn't find it. So when I couldn't find it, I ended up just saying, maybe I should like design it. And that's where the idea of designing came into play. I also had taken a break from poetry around this time because a nigga was depressed, which is why I did the 75 hard. And I ended up coming up with like a new stage name, and I had like a couple different options, and one of them was Ink. And I wanted something I liked poetry or artist names that were like short, simple, and to the point. Something about ink just made sense for me. I just said, I'm gonna pick one name. If I don't like it for 30 days, I'll change it. So I picked ink, which means I also needed to change my Instagram, because at the time my Instagram was Corey is Latte. It was a little play on my name, and I ended up changing the Instagram. It was going to be Ink on the Mic, because I specifically enjoy performance art with my poetry, my spoken word. Like, I love performing more than I like reading poetry. So I ended up playing around with names, and then I came up with Ink Writes Poetry. And it was a little double entendre, you know what I'm saying? And it sounded cool, so I was just like, again, I was coming up with ideas. I didn't want to think about it too much. I just changed the name, and it stuck, and it was cool. I changed my Instagram. Originally, Ink Writes Poetry was just supposed to be an Instagram name change. Like, I didn't think much about it from there. So this is in October. Started getting more into poetry using the stage name Ink. And I, because I had the other clothing brands before, I had already had a supplier that I had talked to previously that could do screen printing. So I was like, I kind of want to, get some merch back out. And I was also at the time doing the Rose jersey design, which had to be manufactured. This is like the final product of it. This is literally like a vision that I was having, that I was like, let me put this together. Let me actually take a step and try this out. So I was doing that, getting that done overseas. I was always hesitant about that process. I always thought it felt like it just wouldn't work out. Like, things that I would tell myself, like, this is like so complex, you should do something simpler, something that you could get done in the States. And this time I was, again, just like, fuck it, let me try it out. So I'm getting that cooked up in October. Also hitting up my local supplier, getting my white ink designed hoodie. I don't have it on me. Maybe I'll put pictures and stuff here. I don't know. This video is supposed to be pretty chill. I don't know if I'm gonna do all the edits, but yes, I wanted to do a white hoodie because, I don't know, poets have a bunch of like merch, and everybody has a black hoodie. Everybody has a black t-shirt. I did not want to be the person that has another black hoodie or t-shirt. So I wanted something different. So I came up with this ink design. And I put it on a white hoodie. So that's coming in November. I am also slowly becoming like I've just come back out as a poet. I got a name change and stuff. I'm getting some features, and I'm able to start selling these hoodies. I think November 25th, which was Cyber Monday, which was a bad idea. Do your drops on Fridays when people get paid. But for whatever reason, that Monday, the 25th of November, I did official online release. Pretty sure I got one online sale like a week later, but a whole bunch of the community that I had developed from the poetry community ended up buying out a lot of my hoodies. I think I don't know how many I got, maybe 20 or 30 total. And after like a month total, maybe, I was able to sell out of those hoodies. So in the month of, something I forgot to say. So in the month of October, I was like really at that time, doing this rebranding, trying to start taking my business and stuff seriously. And I was like, I have a whole bunch of merch from my other businesses that never sold. So I'm gonna take them to my mics and sell them, even if I don't have any of the ink merch yet or the new rebrand stuff. Like, I have stuff that I can sell, and I'm going to do that. Some of that was the hats. I probably had like 10 or 15 of the hats. So if I had an event, I would take those hats. I would take shirts with the same design, and I would still sell them, even with the name change. And it was a no excuses mindset. And I was really just getting back into that habit of moving product, because, I had something to sell. I don't have to wait till my new design comes in. I need to work with the inventory and the, resources that I have right now. So yeah, November I had one online sale for $41.65, but I was also, selling the other stuff. I was selling the hoodies like offline, and I was selling some of the hats and stuff. So November 2024, I had made about $430. That's really like October and November. Around this time, I'm getting the actual sample of the Rose jersey. I'm showing it off a little bit, debating if I want to do a bulk. I was so scared to do this bulk. I was so scared to get the order of like 20 to 30 hoodies and get an order of like 20 jerseys, because I just thought it wouldn't work. I had so many like limiting beliefs I was telling myself that because I had failed in business before, because I was not profitable before, that I would have been wasting my money, or that I would, just not be successful. And none of that was true. None of that was true at all. So I'm getting the sample in, I'm showing it off to people. People are liking it. I end up getting the bulk, and I plan to do the drop on the 25th of December. 25th of December is also not a Friday. Do your drops on Fridays, but I was sticking to that 25th of the month. My birthday is October 25th. I don't think I mentioned that. Yeah, my birthday was also like around the time that I started this. And my birthday is kind of like my year, like my kind of calendar year, if that makes sense. And so that's why there's a 2-5 on the jersey, and you will see 2 5s throughout. I also plan to incorporate the business, or I don't know how you say that, get the business like a LLC during the year of 2025, so it'll be established in 2025. So in December, I start trying to market the release of the rose jersey. At the time, I'll show you the other color, but I just had the pink. And I was also selling some more of my hoodies. I think I ended up selling out of the hoodies, which is also, I think, the only product that I've ever like really sold out of. Like everything else, I do have at least one item left in. During the month of December, we made a little over $600. I think I only had on the drop day like 3 sales, and they weren't even like on the day of the drop, like some were like the day after. But regarding the drop, I had like 3 online sales for the jersey, and I actually knew all of these people personally, I think. Another thing about my brand, I've never like really directly marketed to my family. My family has probably totally contributed maybe $600 to $800 total, and that's out of like the $8,500. But that's more like, I've never like just sent stuff to my family. I think when I had my first couple brands, my family, and I say like my extended family, were buying, the stuff. And, well, of course, I'm very appreciative of the support that I can have. But it was like a mental thing. Like, dang, I could only sell to family. Like, you don't make a business off of selling to your family and friends or the people around you. So that's another thing that I was very intentional about trying to market to people that did not know me. Could have been a good thing, could have been a bad thing. But yes, I was very distraught from not getting many sales for December because of that drop. And I think this is around the time I really developed in my head, like, I'm just not good at marketing. And so I ended up taking a strategy to just do in-person sales. Whether unconsciously, I don't think it was a deliberate decision, but I was saying like, okay, I know like in person, I know how to sell better than I know how to do it online. Even though online is what's going to be the scale, okay? If you're getting one thing from this video, like, the world is so big, and there are so many opportunities for you to gain and show success. It's not just, the people in your close circle, not just the people in your city, in your state, even in your country, So make sure you remember that the world is much bigger than what you know and what you can think. And that's why it's so important, I feel, as entrepreneurs to travel, or people in general to travel and explore, what's outside of what you're familiar with. But okay, so at this time in January, we're selling more hoodies and more jerseys, and we made a bit over $600, $667 with 17 orders. So I think this is also my first time vending. So, the main way that I was selling, I didn't even bring this up, was going to open mics. So like I said, I am a poet. In the DMV, which is DC, Maryland, Virginia, metropolitan area, really. There is an open mic damn near every day, and an open mic is pretty much a creative event, typically where poets or artists like singers, rappers will come and just, they sign up on the list and they showcase their art. So I was going to a lot of these events, and I had a little bit of a name. Like, I've been doing poetry at this time, maybe like 2 or 3 years. And so I had a decent amount of support at that time. And this was like, my first time really selling something. So I'm just going to open mic events. I would do my piece, do my performance, my poem, and then I would say, hey, I got this hoodie to sell, I got this jersey to sell for you. I might have had more items like t-shirts or maybe like another design at this point. I can't remember exactly, but that was my first time vending, which is very important. Another thing I was so scared to do was to vend. Vending is like a pop-up where you pay to be a vendor, whether it can range from $25 to $75 to even more, but most of my events are $25 to $75. You set up a table and you could showcase your work, and you could ask people, if they want to contribute, if they want to buy. I'd only vended one time, and I had a couple. I was starting to get more features around this time too. Feature performance is when you're like the headliner for, the poetry open mic, and you get like a 20-minute set instead of a regular 5-minute slot. On to February. This is when things really started to pop off a little bit more. As you can see, in the month of February, we made almost $1,000, which I was so close, and I could have made it. That's another thing. Like, every month, I'm like, dang, I could have made like $100 more if I had just done da-da-da-da. You know, you could raise your prices like $5, like people would still buy. But yes, February was a good month. I had released this thing called the Love Language hoodie, and it, like, people were really loving it. I also implored myself to experiment with new designs. I said in the first year of business that I would experiment with a whole bunch of designs and then decide what I wanted to be, like, my brand's look or identity after that, because I didn't want to box myself in fresh out the gate. I don't even know what I like, so how am I going to, pick everything? So how am I going to just, say that I'm a pick this and stick to this, for the rest of the brand? So I allowed myself to experiment. Came with the Love Language hoodie. Ended up selling out of like one color or something and had to get more sizes. I think I have like 3 or 4 total like left at this month. This is also around the time that I did a photo shoot. I had got a whole bunch of photo shoot gear, and I had some of the poets, take pictures and stuff, and I was getting a little better at the marketing, a little more confidence with the marketing, but still not doing online sales. Like, it's really in person at open mics and vending events. Not gonna lie, I don't remember much of March, but this apparently is the first month that I got to $1,400 in sales, which is like $500 more than the previous month. Did I do like a vending? I think I was doing more. Oh, you know what? I had my biggest vending day. I had made like $430 at this big poetry event, and that really kind of showed me how much support I had. At this point, I'm really seeing a lot of people. Like, when I go to mics, like, people are just wearing my stuff, and I'm not, like, forcing them. I guess they bought the shirt, so you want to wear it. But I don't know. Like I said, there's a difference between merch and a clothing brand, and I'm really starting to see that I'm developing a clothing brand. I'm developing a community with this audience that's kind of already set up for me, because our creative community is so big in the DMV, and I'm kind of just, catering to that community and bringing them together, more, and showing them that, as long as you should keep creating and you should keep sharing your work. I like to point out, at this point, even now, I don't even have like a very clear like mission statement or like a tagline. I have had things like art on the clock from one of my designs, and I don't know, I'm doing like, it's not that like that organized, but I'm still keeping moving with it. You know what I'm saying? I don't really remember a whole bunch from the month of March from that, but I do know April is a big turning point. So in the month of April, I decided to go to this event called Voices in Power, which is one of the biggest poetry open mic events. I ended up like planning out a whole trip because I loved performing. Even before I started the brand, like, I had heard about this event and I wanted to go out and check it out. And it really, like I said, traveling is so important. It allows you to expand your mind. You get to meet artists. You get to be a fresh new face, and you get to meet fresh new faces, new people, see how their art culture works. And I just really, at the time, enjoyed going out to Philadelphia a lot. So yeah, I planned this event where I pretty much paid for this, you could call it like an Airbnb, kind of like a suite kind of thing. And I had 3 poets go up there, and we sold merch. I had a feature performance out in Philly, which was my first out-of-state feature. That, shout out to Smile. I'm really appreciative for that experience, because to this day, it's still like my favorite feature that I've ever done. And yeah, the next day I did the Voices in Power event. This is out in the beginning of April, and I think over that weekend I made like $700. So I made $1,400 in the month of April. So I made $1,400 in the month of April, and damn near like half of that was just on that weekend trip. I was very tired from this event. I ended up, like, I paid for like everything for the people to come out with me, and I was really in my managerial bag, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, this is how we gonna do this is how we gonna do this. And I don't know, it felt good as an entrepreneur to do something like that. Got to meet a bunch of people. Something I want to point out too, like, I'm talking about my mistakes during this process. Like, I'm not really focused on, at this time, getting followers or getting SMS subscribers. And that's why I'm in the situation I'm in right now in the month of, July. But I did get to meet a bunch of people and, spread awareness of the brand. And also, people with like bigger names at this time are noticing what I'm doing. Like, I'll go up to people and they'll be like, introduce myself. And I usually say Corey, and afterwards I'll say, oh, but I go by Ink, and they're like, oh, you're the one that's doing this stuff. So other people are starting to notice at this point, and it's clicking to me more and more when I go to this an event, and then people like have on my stuff, and I'm like, that's crazy that you would wear this out. At this time, I'm also struggling with that confidence of online marketing, because I have a very like hustler's mentality. Like, I know I could pull up to a mic and I can make some clothes. Sometimes, I can make some sales. Sometimes I make more money at a mic than I would at a vending event, which is highly discouraging. Like, for you to plan out and going to a vending event, you have to pay a fee to set up, and then you just don't make a bunch of sales. But I could go to a mic. Sometimes the mics are free, and I can make like $100 if I sell 2 hoodies, you know? So I'm really stuck in like the hustler's mentality around this time. Not focused as much on, doing photo shoots and like that online marketing as much as I could have and should have been in hindsight. But okay, we're in the month of May. The month of May was like the busiest month, bro. Like, I was so tired. So the month of May, we made $1,600, almost $1,700, and almost had 50 orders, which is crazy. As you can see, there are 3 consecutive months where I made an average of about $1,500. And I was realizing I'm getting to a point like where I'm either settling or kind of getting stuck because I'm not doing the scaling. And the month of May, I did the statistics, like a little recap for that month. I was at a mic or an event 15 out of 31 days. And I was also like dating at this point. So I wasn't just doing mics. I was just so tired. I was like, this is not sustainable. Like, it's important for you to, put in that work for your brand. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the beginning, like, your baby needs to be fed. But I was just so tired, and I realized that the way I was operating was not sustainable, and that I could not be continuously successful over like 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, if I'm operating like this, and I'm not going to get to where I want to be at. So while it was cool to have an average of $1,500 a month over 3 months, it showed me that I have good designs. I know how to build community, and I'm, able to garner such. During this month, I also had the most features I've ever had. I think I had 4 features. I opened up for Nico in one of the like Pride events, which is also my worst performance, but that's another day. Yeah, I was so tired, and I realized that this could not be sustainable. And literally, I gave myself like a week off in the beginning of June. I like to say my brain was at this point like catching up to my body. And I was just so tired and fatigued. I didn't really know why, and it's because I was like just on go and operating in a way that wasn't sustainable. At this point, I've made about $7,200 and 175 orders. Some quick math. No, I've made like 184 orders at this point. My average order value around this time is about $40. So I was selling my hoodies. I don't know, maybe I'll do another video where I talk about pricing and stuff. But, at this point, I was being very consistent, and it hurt my heart during the month of June, especially during Pride Month, where, because I'm a homosexual, I would be able to like make a lot of money, just off of that. And I had to take a step back, which is very humbling. And I ended up getting in a place where I was in like a creative slump. I wasn't writing poetry. I was kind of only performing to make sales. So I was doing my pieces that I knew were popular and not the ones that were reminiscent of the feelings and stuff I was going through at the time, which I didn't like to feel that way about my art. It really shows you like how even when business is going well, the person might not be going well are doing well. I was feeling kind of weird about stuff with the poetry community, which I will never probably talk about on camera. But yeah, like poetry just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. I don't know if I said this, but the name of the brand was Ink Writes Poetry because it was the Instagram name, and it was all like kind of merchy based on that. I pretty much I think I made like $500 in the month of June, and this is July. I think I made like $800 this month, and which is like cool given that I have not been outside as much. Like, what's up? It's like 3 days later, something happened with my camera. But pretty much, yes, the past 2 months, so June and July, I think I only made like $1,300 because I only went to like one event each month, maybe a couple mics. But I am ready to get back into it. I'm trying to be more intentional about where I want the brand to go. Like I said, am trying to get myself in a headspace where I can create content and stuff that makes sense. I think that's where my biggest blockage is. Like, maybe we'll do we will do an event soon. I do have my birthday coming up, and you can see I'm in mad scientist mode. So we got some designs that are coming up, some affirmations or positive quotes just so I can make sure my brain is in the right place. In order for me to be sustainable, like, I don't want this to just last 1 year. Like, I want this to be 5, 10, 20, 50 years. And I want to do so much more than just sell clothing. I don't really remember what my outro was, but yeah, I want to get this video out today. Hopefully this could be beneficial to you, and hope you have a great day. And get out there and create something.